he say?
Yeah, boss said he were an idiot.
Well,
an idiot.
he is, to be fair.
Which can get at me, mate. I'm John DeCaro, and this is Cats Whiskers TV.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah, do you reckon that worked?
Yeah, I think it'd been better if we had Steelers shirts on.
Over my dead body.
And mine. On this week's Cats Whiskers TV, we'll be looking back at a mixed weekend for the Panthers. We'll also be looking ahead to Great Britain and Latvia in the Olympic qualifiers. We'll be talking about Jordan Krestanovich's extraordinary U-turn, and we'll also be doing our usual monthly awards. But first, it's Paul Baum with the news.
I'm Paul Baum, and this is the news. Ben Olsen goes to the movies. Gerard Adams contemplates another collapse at the Big Blue Tent. Paul Thompson prepares for Andy Carson's next visit to the Sky Dome. And that was the news.
I'm joined on the sofa by Aaron and Paul as ever, and our guest Andy. Thanks for coming along again, mate. Appreciate it. We're going to talk about the Coventry game on Saturday first. I think I'll come to you, Andy, and some great chanting throughout the game from the Panthers fans, don't you think?
Yeah, superb. I mean, it is literally the one away trip where I just laugh constantly from start to finish because the atmosphere is brilliant. I mean, to be fair, their fans give us good back. But we take so many to Coventry. I mean, the fact they had to open an extra block this time, and the atmosphere is superb. And obviously, Hershey goes through it something rotten, but it's great.
Do you think that actually makes a difference? Do you think we do get into his head?
I'd like to think yes, but probably not. I just think we are better than Coventry this year. A lot of the times recently when we have been sort of scoring for fun almost, they have been well worked goals. It's not really been too many where you can look at Hirsch and say that's all your fault. I mean, the sixth goal was a prime case of that, where we just worked it from point to point, made the pass to Galavan at the back door, and no one was anywhere near him, and that was 5-on-5 hockey.
Of course, we didn't start the best. 2-0 down at the end of the first period. Do you want to turn that off? 2-0 down at the end of the first period. And I thought Coventry were the better team. And then they suddenly pressed the self-destruct button.
Yeah, they did, to be fair. But I think we also stepped it up a notch as well. We had a slow start, and obviously Coventry came out of the blocks. But we just, like I say, turned up another notch and sort of just blew them away to a certain degree. Because, like Andy says, we are just better than them this season, and once we play that hockey that we know that we can play, there's not many teams that can handle us. So it was a good second period from us, and I'm quite glad that Coventry sort of started the game the best, to be honest, because that got the crowd going. And then obviously, because in the past, once we've just turned on the style, their fans aren't there to be seen sometimes. So it was good for the atmosphere, but like I say, we just turned it on, and it was a good game in the end.
Big turning point was the offside that was given to Adam Hemrich. It obviously led to him getting chucked out of the game. Now, stills have come through, and it looks like it was a poor call by the linesman. I think it's fair to say it was. But the whistle went a good 2 seconds before he put the puck in the net. Do you think he should have kept his discipline?
Well, obviously. I mean, at that point, 3-2, that had made it 3-3. I think the game could have ended up very differently, and I think that was part of them, pressing the self-destruct. I don't think, to be honest, him shooting the puck after the whistle made a blind bit of difference. it was what he said. You watch the highlights. It's what he says to the linesman that makes Carson immediately just do that. You know, so I think we've all got a fair idea what he said. But
Family show.
yeah, and it was Charles Bike out there. But how many times have you seen that with somebody who's fresh in the country? It's almost like, welcome to Britain. This is what you're going to get. But, you know, I mean, you've seen all this stuff, you know, various Blaze players retweeting the picture, like the week before when they scored against Belfast, but it wasn't given. What do they think they're going to change? You know, the game's over. The game's gone. The referee's not going to go, oh, yeah, I should have given them that. Yeah, come back, lads. We'll play it all again. It's not going to happen. It's like when players surround a referee, haranguing him. Why? It's not going to change anything. One of the things I think Nielsen's got right this year is he doesn't allow any of that. If somebody's mouthing off, you know, it's back to the bench telling them to shut up. And that's right. You're not going to change anything.
Tell you what is going to change, the Elite League's beer fund from all the fines that will probably come from it. Quick word on Henrich, though. I mean, before he went off, I thought he was quality, and he looks a really good signing for the Blaze.
Definitely. He was the best player on the ice for the first 20 minutes. He was absolutely superb. And, I mean, obviously his 2 goals both came on the power play, so you say obviously he's got a bit more time and space and that type of thing, but they were well worked goals, and he finished them very, very well, and he looks like a quality find. I think it's 7 points in 4 games now for Coventry, and obviously he's doing it against all teams, not just us, and obviously he did the same on his debut. I think in Braehead he got a goal, and again against Cardiff, so he looks like a very good sign, and if they'd have had him earlier on in the year, it could have been so different for him. Unfortunately, he's just come too late.
Moving on then to Sunday night and the game against our nearest and dearest. Wasn't the best, was it?
No, it wasn't, to be fair. Things just didn't click for us. You know, if you look at some of the opportunities that we had in front of goal, a few games ago they might have gone in, like opportunities for Galley, Francis at the point when it was 3-2, I think it was 3-2. You know, we have a chance there just in front of Decaro, put it away, it's 3-3, they go up 10 seconds later and they score, and you know the game's sort of over. But no, especially on like the power play and stuff, it didn't really work for us. Things didn't click. Then you look at Sheffield. I mean, I don't think Sheffield play an absolutely amazing game. They were a little bit stronger maybe in the hits and stuff like that, and obviously the power play for them worked, but it just wasn't our night really.
I think where Sheffield were really, really strong was they closed us down very, very well throughout the game. On our power plays, they closed us down. 5-on-5 just closed us down. Really aggressive forecheck, and they just put us off our game. And to be honest, I think for most of the game we looked like we did in the first period against Coventry.
Yeah, definitely. But it was the first power play we had looked really good. There was some really good movement, and we really penned Sheffield in for large spells. But then after that first one, it's almost like they were told, or they were sat down and realised and just said, look, we need to get at them. And they played a fantastic game on that half, that's for sure. Their PK was ludicrously aggressive, which you sort of say is risky, because obviously if one guy goes to a man, he leaves his guy behind him open. But if they can get there first, they're always going to win the puck, because they were that much quicker and hungrier for it. And I agree with Aaron that we played all right, I thought, in spells. We were sloppy in the neutral zone getting into the zone, but once we got into the zone, we did actually make some really good plays. And Gallivan had a couple of chances. There was one in the second period especially where he was all alone at the back door, and he just fanned on the shot. And it's things like that last week or next week or that, they'll go in, and you could quite easily look at a game that would have been 5-5 on a different night, but the chances just didn't go our way.
Of course, with Belfast pulling it back against Cardiff and Sheffield winning, he's now tightened it up at the top. Still nice to be top at this time of the year, though, going into what will be about a week, 10 days break with the GB games.
Have I got to give it the old moving forward speech again? Yes. You know, you got just watch a couple of weeks back when we lost to Belfast. It's the same thing. But yeah, we've got to rest. We've got to break. I mean, you know, we have got to go, just move forward from it, forget about it. We've got a chance to forget about it because we've got that gap. But last night was one of them nights that, for anybody who hasn't followed us for long, that last night was what it's really like to be a Panthers fan. We go and lose, and then we sat there and we just watched by the most painful manner ever. Waiting till 11 o'clock and waiting for teletext to go round finally bring the scores up. Yeah. You know, the most painful manner imaginable is 3-0. It's 3-0. It's 3-1. It's 3-2. Oh, here we go. And of course, Belfast equalised and won it on penalties. Yeah, that's what it's like to be a Panthers fan, in a nutshell. Move on while I weep.
But still, 5 points clear at Sheffield, 2 points clear at Belfast, and probably some nice games coming up when we come back off the break. Obviously, we've got the Challenge Cup game against Belfast, but then home to Braehead, home to Fife. They are games you would normally expect to win.
Yeah, definitely. Any body associated with the club will look at that weekend and say this is one that we should get 4 points out of. That's no disrespect to Braehead or Fife at all, but both games are at home. We've had a nice long layoff. Obviously, the GB boys would have been playing this weekend, and fingers crossed that they come out all right from that. But it's quite a nice game to bounce back to. I thought after the not the Boxing Day game, the game after in Sheffield when we got spanked 9-4, I thought it was nice that we came back to Dundee, where it was a game where we would have expected to win, and obviously we did. But obviously the fact that we'd been spanked the night before or the week before in our last game, it really gave us time to sort of adjust and get back and settle things down rather than being thrown straight back into the deep end. So in a way, losing to Sheffield, I don't think it's going to hamper us that bad. If you ask Sheffield or Belfast where they'd rather be right now, it's where we are.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think we'll leave it on that note. Of course, we got the views of some fans after the game in Sheffield.
Good week. Well, 2 out of 4 points. Can't complain. Didn't deserve a thing out today. No, flat as a pancake. Never got going at all tonight. Yesterday, I'll take that 6-2. But 2 weeks off now. Chances to regroup, and hopefully we'll respond and go on to win a few more games.
Not been bad. Come from 2-0 down in Coventry. Didn't expect that. And tonight we battled hard. Just couldn't find that final pass to put it in the net. Sometimes goes like that. All we can hope for now is a Belfast loss tonight.
A little bit disappointed with tonight. A few too many turnovers at the end to the Panthers, but it was a hard game. We've battled hard. Unfortunate to come out on the end of a 5-2 defeat. I think that last night to get back onto level terms so quickly and then turn it around to make a massive win, that's fine. Happy with a 2-point weekend.
One of the big talking points in the Elite League last week was Jordan Krestanovich going back to Braehead Clan after initially saying that he was leaving. Reports were coming from Sheffield that he was going to sign for them, but and they moaned, as they always do, that he didn't go there. Goes back to Braehead. What do you think?
It's very bizarre. It's a really strange U-turn. I don't know whether I read this on anything official, but I'm sure in the last week that I read that they changed the story from handing his 2 weeks notice to 2 weeks illness, which is very bizarre because they made no bones about the fact. I mean, he gave an interview with someone saying that he'd handed his 2 weeks notice in because of the way it was all handled, and here's my 2 weeks notice, I'm out of here, and then all of a sudden that was just illness. Maybe it was a strange illness that affected his decisions. I don't know, but it just seemed really bizarre, really strange.
It seems odd that such a quality player, wouldn't be snapped up by someone else. He chooses to go back to Braehead. I know there was talk about it may have been blocked, his move to Sheffield, but surely a player of that quality will get a job in North America.
You'd have thought so, wouldn't you? But at the end of the day, was he really going to be signing for Sheffield? If you're a hockey player, it's almost an insult if you're not linked with Sheffield at some point. I mean, 2 words for you: David Ling. Yeah, how many times have they signed?
You mean Jeff Hutchins?
Well, they signed Jeff Hutchins, but how many times they're supposed to be signing David Ling or somebody else, and it never happens. You mean I'm sorry, but I just don't believe a single word that comes out. Yeah, Brad Voth. Every year, Brad Voth were going to Sheffield. Did he? No.
We spent the whole year trying to get him suspended.
So, just an odd situation all around, really.
Very, very odd, but what a player, though, to be fair, for Braehead to have back. So it's just poorly handled in a way, like, you know, Andy was saying about just the 2 weeks hand notice and then tummy bug properly. I don't know. But look at the positives. Yeah, what a great signing for Braehead. Obviously, they've had a little bit of a revival as well. So I'm going to say that he will sign for Sheffield at some point within the next few months.
I hope not. I mean, does does anybody think that he was signing for Sheffield and a certain Mr. Black might have put the kibosh on it? And allegedly, you know, hypothetically speaking.
Shall I say yes for the controversy of it all? Definitely. Neil Black is in charge of every signing in the Elite League. We all know that. We all know, don't we?
As well as running the disciplinary
All
committee.
Fans. I'm right, aren't I? Cardiff fans, you know what I'm talking about, don't you?
Andy?
No, I don't think so. I think there's a lot of people reading too much into that. In all honesty, I think the initial shock of what happened annoyed Krestanovich. However, I think obviously he's thought about his options and stuff like that. And in all seriousness, I'm sure, again, I read somewhere that he was looking to go back to playing and take coaching back up at a future date rather than looking straight away for another player coaching job. So I imagine when they announced the guy that they'd brought in and he sat down and thought about it and thought, well, I know, so this guy's going to be as good as any. I mean, to be fair, he's the most qualified coach we've got ever here, and you know they've signed another new guy, and like Aaron said, they're on a bit of a revival again. So I think it's a decent move by him.
Aaron?
I agree.
Fair enough. Although what I will say, a controversial show, which won't make me liked in Sheffield, but I'm not that much anyway, is if Mr. Black did stop it, good on him, because we don't want quality players like that signing for Sheffield at this stage in the season.
But then who's the chairman of the Elite League? Who's on the board?
I do believe that would be Mr. Tony Smith, owner of the Sheffield Steelers.
Well, then, you know, couldn't he have put his little 2 penneth in and said, no, he's going?
Conflict of interest. Can of worms open everywhere, and we'll leave it there. It's time for our monthly awards. Not had them for a couple of months. Sorry about that. Not had the time. So we'll go swiftly. I'm Panthers Player of the Month. Andy.
Graham.
Ling.
Brucey.
Bruce. I think I had to go for Bruce as well, and so did many others. And very close with David Ling, but Bruce Graham is the Panthers Player of the Month.
You're on your own.
Our second award is the Elite Player of the Month. Now, for all those people who've written in and said, it's biased towards Panthers, it's a Panthers show, so we are going to get more Panthers votes. However, there was only 2 Panthers players voted for this month, and out of the 10 votes we had, 8 were for other Elite League players. It was still a Panthers player who won, though. So we'll go around.
Everybody.
We'll go around the panel. Handy.
Riopel.
Don't complain. Vote. I voted for David Ling.
Yeah, I must admit I went for Ling as well.
I go for Riopel from Dundee.
How can you go for 2 different players? How can your Panthers player and your Elite League player be different?
Because Bruce has scored the goals, right? Bruce Graham scored the goals. You know, that's the bread and butter. You have to score goals to win games. However, he wouldn't have scored the goals he would have done if it hadn't been for David Ling setting them up.
So which one's better then?
Well, they're both as good as each other.
Which one's better?
If I was asked to choose between the 2, what do you think, Sean? You think Ling as well? Well, if I had to choose between the 2, Ling is the better player.
So why isn't Ling your Panthers Player of the Month then?
Because Graham scored the goals. Look.
Ling plays for Panthers in the Elite League. You can't have a Panthers player who's better than Ling. You just said Ling's best. Can I?
Should we just leave this to it, shall we?
Congratulations, David Ling, Elite League Player of the Month. Oh dear, I've lost the will to live already. Our third award is the goal of the month. Only 2 goals in it, and one won by a massive landslide. So, Andy, goal of the month.
Clark against Coventry at home.
Which one?
Whichever one was the best. I can't remember.
Would that be the second one, Andy?
Yes, the second one.
Paul.
I concur.
And Aaron.
Make that 3.
And make that 4. Student, what do you think?
Ling in Cardiff.
He always has to be different. But it was, of course, David Clark's fantastic second goal against Coventry last week. That is the goal of the month. Our fourth award is the moment of the month. Lots of votes for this one, lots of different moments. Andy?
David Ling's game winner in Cardiff is mine.
Good goal, yeah.
I can't remember what I voted for now. What did I vote for?
I think you voted for that one.
Which one's that one?
Tablet.
It's a tablet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but you've written on it with the tablet thing, haven't you? Yeah. Yeah.
It was Hirsch.
Hirsch storming off.
Yes,
Hirsch
thank
storming
you.
off. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, blood and sand.
So I have to remember I said.
I also went for Hirsch storming off against Coventry. Aaron?
I went for Ling's 4 goals against Cardiff at home.
Which was good. Student, what do you think?
Beauregard's return.
Well, that's not a surprise. We also did have a vote here for Wilson slashing Ferguson. Which is,
I bet I know who that was.
yeah, that could have been our fight correspondent. But the only vote for that, thankfully. Otherwise, we'd probably be taken off air. But the winner was, of course, Peter Hirsch storming off in last week's game against Panthers. Our final award, the soon-to-be renamed Devon Didiametti Award, or the Mug of the Month, as we know it. Funnily enough, old Devon didn't get an award. He didn't even get a vote.
Oh, that's sad, that.
First time.
I miss Devon.
I quickly forget these people.
Anyway, round the panel again, Mug of the Month.
Hirsch.
Paul?
Could have gone one or two ways. Could have been Hirsch. Could have been De Caro. But I know you wanted De Caro to win, so I went for Hirsch.
Well, I went for De Caro punching the fan, and nothing being done about it. What a surprise. Aaron?
I'm going to go for Elliot Kennedy.
Oh, the Sheffield fan, the man who gave the world 5.
Apparently so. I mean, I don't know that, but look him up on Twitter. He's a lovely bloke.
Yeah, he gave the world 5.
Yeah, but
kill him now.
Look, if you'd got 5, you'd want to give them away. I know I would. Hey, I've got steps. If anybody, just out there, in a van.
Yeah.
Keep on moving.
Oh! See, this is why we have him on.
I'm too old to know.
Anyway, the Mug of the Month was also Peter Hirsch, although it should have been John De Caro, but there you go. But it was Peter Hirsch with 10 votes for storming off. So, Peter Hirsch, congratulations. 2 awards that you probably wouldn't want.
Yeah, he would have been here to accept it, but he went after the 3rd.
Thankfully, the monthly awards are over for another month. I mean, I've got to put up with that until next month now. Please keep your votes coming in if you can be bothered. Anyway, we're going to look ahead to Great Britain playing in Latvia in the final Olympic qualifier. Of course, if they win the group, they will qualify for the Sochi Olympics in 2014. Andy, what do you think the chances are?
I think we've got a decent chance. I think, if I'm being honest, I think we'll probably finish 2nd, maybe 3rd. I think 1st is maybe about one step a little bit too far. But we've certainly got some good players, and all it takes is a couple of bouncers and that. The one thing I do think that we will struggle with is the officials. I mean, everyone moans about our officials and that, but the officials in Europe are very zero tolerance with regards to hooking and slashing and stuff and things like that. So I think we'll probably hit a bit of penalty trouble, but these guys know, they've been around, they've done it a lot, so I think we've got a decent chance, but I think we'll just finish maybe a couple of points out of it.
Yeah. Paul?
All I want is all our players to come back fit. without any injuries, really. Beyond that,
yeah, I mean, I know it could probably be considered a selfish point of view, but I agree. We've got some quality British players, and I don't want them to get injured out there.
yeah, no, exactly. You know, it's beyond that. I really don't care. If I'm honest, well, I've said all this before, and we didn't go anywhere near as many complaints as I thought we would. But are we going to win it?
Well, no. You're probably right, but we've got to be. I mean, look at the buzz it's created. The commentary's going to be on Radio 5 live. ESPN are covering the games live. You know, we wouldn't have had that if they'd not qualified, and that above everything else, that's going to be a boost.
That is going to be the main thing. The only problem is that, you know, all this interest will be created. It's then into the hands of the owners of British ice hockey teams to make the most of that. I mean, I was amazed. Seriously, I was actually. I might actually be serious now. I was amazed the other week that we actually got that GB got any funding at all. Because you look at the state British ice hockey's in compared to sports like cycling, sailing, you know, sit-down sports that we do well in. But, you know, how well organised and well run they are. You've got 100 grand. Which one of those two would you give it to? GB ice hockey or GB cycling? I know where my money would go.
Fair enough. Aaron?
The only thing that I suppose you could look at it is if, you know, while they're out there and they're playing against these obviously so-called better teams than us, that, you know, it might help the development, of our players a little bit. Playing against better players, then obviously you test yourself a bit more. But the main thing is that they do come back and fit and healthy. But I do think it's going to be close, actually. You know, it's a bit like Andy said, to be fair. I think you never know what's going to happen. Yes, I don't think anybody's really giving us, you know, a shot at qualifying for it, but who knows? On the day we've got some really good players. I do think obviously we're missing a couple with Murphy, and obviously Weaver's now not going to be there as well. They're two very experienced campaign people that you'd rather have in your side than not, so we'll see how that goes. But all they can do is go and do the best. If they qualify, fantastic, and hopefully, you know, like Paul said, then it will be into the hands of the people upstairs, as they say, to deal with it properly and take the sport forward. But as long as they come back injury-free, that's the main thing that we can hope for.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think it's probably maybe a little bit too much for them to qualify. I think the quality of the teams they're playing will just be that too much for us. However, beat France. Just, if anything, if you're going to do one thing, beat France. Both on the scoreboard and physically as well, because let's face it, they're French. So I think, yeah, it doesn't. This show doesn't go out in France, I don't think. So I think we're all right. Anyway, that's it for this week. We'll be off the. Thank you, Andy, for coming along once again and being the guest. Thanks to you too. We will be off the air now for a couple of weeks, because obviously with no Panthers games next weekend, there will be no show next week. So until a fortnight's time, goodbye. I will never understand why they give this tat away.
Would you buy it?
Well, yeah, that's a good point, actually.
Oh, thanks, yeah, just what I need.